Hello, Jack. And we're live. Well, what about you there? What are you doing?
Just making myself a wee Guinness here, lads. It's a wee secret way of doing it as well. Because we're celebrating, kid. We're celebrating tonight.
Celebrating what?
Making myself a wee Guinness here, lads.
A bit of feedback.
Looking straight in my ears there. Swear out to you. We're celebrating a successful cancer op.
I think we're going to need to keep on the news feeds.
Yeah, keep an eye on what's going on.
Happening at breakneck speed. What's your go-to source?
Oh, it's tough. I normally just go to Sky Sports News, or I go to Fabrizio Romano's Twitter feed, because that's where you get your real life shit. Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey the last couple of days for me mentally. I know you've done a video recently when you were on the channel there that Sunday night.
Yeah, when it was
when the news when the news first broke, and you were emotional about that, rightly so. I've had a bit of time to reflect on what's been happening, and this evening has been an absolute roller coaster. Update the fans there about what's happening right now today. What's happened today? Give them a timeline. Also, cheers.
Cheers. With the not the exotic.
There's definitely the card in that, isn't
there? Like Girly says, evening, gents. Evening, look, Girly, big son. Come on in. If you've got any things about you.
Send me a link there, Bridge.
No, the link's in the chat. Not too much stuff coming out about your club. Luke, what's your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but things are rapidly evolving, but we're getting mixed statements coming out. Let me see. Guy Neville's put a solitary wave goodbye emoji.
He also put a photo up of himself having a nice glass of red wine in celebration, I believe.
Seen that. Let me see. So apparently, Agnelli, the Juventus snake, apparently he's also has resigned. However, Fabrizio has updated on that.
What they say it's nonsense, or has he confirmed it?
I'll read it out in a second. Official note. There's still nothing confirmed by Juventus side about President Andrea Agnelli resigning rumours at the moment. He's also vice chairman of the hashtag Super League. Also, Ed Woodward, as we know, gone. However, not just yet. According to Fabrizio, it's the end of the year.
Even that news has been an emotional rollercoaster in itself, in isolation, because I literally had a feeling of like pure and utter. Well, first of all, you get the emotion of, right, we're going to pull out of this. That was rumored, and then you heard Woodward was gone. That was like severe, like absolute joy. And then it was at the end of the season. So we're like, Then it makes you think. I don't know if you tuned into any of our channels, but they were talking about it on the paddock about they could be getting ready to sell. So we could get the Super League in the bin, Woodward in the bin, and the Glazers in the bin, all in the space of 6 months. So wouldn't that be delightful?
I think wishful thinking. I think you're getting a wee bit giddy there, but let's bloody hope. And I think it's the video that I did there a couple of days ago. I think that's really put the wheels in motion for Woodward going out. You know, he probably couldn't withstand the pressure.
No, I've seen that. There's 50 views in that, so there's probably quite a high chance that he watched that.
Yeah,
and based his decision not only for the club or himself, but actually for the Glazers as well. To here he is. Stated on that.
Does anybody in the chat, Vibes in the building, the main man, give him a lot of respect?
Well, Vibes,
fellow KG contributor.
Oh, very good.
It's a good man, our vibes. One parasite down. Now it's time for the Glazers to go. Echoing your sentiment there, Mark. I think we might be getting a wee bit giddy. I think it's possible that he was just cut loose a wee touch.
Yeah, I mean, like, but who's made the decisions? Is it him, or is it the Glazers, or did the fans make that decision for him? I mean, I just can't see. Yeah, like, so obviously, they expected the backlash, and then so then it's already going to surprise them.
It didn't get it working, but no, I think he's been made a scapegoat potentially, and it could not be. But like, if the plans were all like that he was going to leave anyway at the end of the season, then why was it sort of leaked and announced that he's leaving? Oh, by the way, it's the end of the season anyway. Like, why has those plans changed? Like, he's going to leave anyway, but now the Glazers are probably going, right, flip. Let's announce it now, so it looks like a reaction to something he's done to put us in this position. But it's already been said he's supposed to leave anyway. So what was the big difference?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm just so excited about the fact that there's change, and I had obviously the Super League thing was something that I had to get my head around, and I had a really negative opinion of in the end once some research. But the fact that he's gone can't be a bad thing. Probably bad commercially, but all, like, it's just, I don't know, haven't thought about it too much, but I think it's great news if we can only get. You ever notice how ugly the Glazers are as well? Like, they're ugly inside and out. God love them. They just need to clear it straight off.
Have you seen the pictures that were going around with all of the parasites, we'll call them, everyone, all the chairman and all, and it looks like something like they're all come out of Mordor. They're all weird.
That's exactly what I was going to say. They look like Uruk-hai, like literally extras from Lord of the Rings.
Just look at him with his wee beady eyes. Like, but how can he stay until the end of the year, especially with everybody knowing that he's going? Like, how does he walk around the place? How does he sit in the stand and watch a game? If the fans come back, does he have a full-on security detail to get into the building?
He would need it. Like, sure, he got his house fireworked, and the Edward Woodward's going to die chanting all. What was that over? Is it because we didn't sign Sancho? Was that what it was? Or was it something else?
It was before then, but no, we can't.
Was it?
It was before then, yeah. But I don't know why is he not cut adrift now. I think the reason it was announced now is because United aren't prepared with any sort of statement along the lines of what we're getting out of Chelsea. Is they're definitely out. I think United aren't prepared. I think all their mates started falling out of this whole plan, and then United sort of sitting there going, right, well, we have to get out of this. But apparently there's rumours that it's going to be announced by Friday. And we're speaking here on Tuesday. So I just don't think they're prepared. And I thought this was going to be announced probably sometime soon anyway, maybe after this whole deal went through with the Super League. But because everything's shit the bed and we're going to have to pull out eventually, this is like a bit of a stopgap. And also they could point at him and go, look, it wasn't really us, that this is your guy.
So you're saying that they're trying to create a smokescreen for the decision to join the Super League, but that smokescreen is going to be short-lived because he's still going to be there tomorrow. So,
yeah,
and
not a smokescreen, a scapegoat. They're pinning the blame on him potentially, or they could be trying to buy themselves some time. Like I said before, the announcement comes. Whatever happens, nothing's going to go well. But if he was going to leave anyway, what was the purpose of announcing it tonight? Whether this was going ahead, I think this is what it is. I think it's the Glazers' plan. Let's announce it tonight. Nothing's actually going to change. He was going to leave there anyway. Let's announce it tonight. Everyone's going to be buzzing, happy. They'll have seen the live reactions to Chelsea going out. Once Chelsea are out, City's out, Barcelona's talking about being out, Juventus. Once all that happens, it's done. Absolutely done.
Yeah, well, yeah. Let's get the facts right now. What is the live situation? So Chelsea are making plans and speaking to their solicitors or legal teams to get out. So the decision's been made, and now they're going through the motions. Same as City, I think. And if you think about it, the whole those two were always in that sort of position where they were sort of not half in, half out. They were both in, but they were kind of the ones that were last to jump in, and they were kind of on the periphery. We better think, based on the reports saying that they were the two that kind of didn't want to go into this, but then they felt that they had to because they couldn't be left behind, which I can understand as well. So what are the facts right now? Who is in and who is out? Also, the Woodward thing is great news for us as a fan base and as a club. I think, for on the pitch, business. But when it comes to the Super League, there's still no announcement from us, and there's still no announcement from Liverpool. Everyone's getting fired left, right, and centre. Jose's been sacked yesterday. Was it today? I'm not even chatting about that. Isn't it mad? It's just mad how mental football's going at the minute. It's like this will be the biggest news in our lifetime, surely. All of this, it's all mental. So, what are the facts? Who's in, who's out right now?
They're all still in, factually. There's rumours circulating through all the top journalists that City and Chelsea are right, so everyone's basically just taking it as read. Like, it's not very often Sky Sports will put something up on a big yellow banner if they don't have proper sources that they really believe in. So you'd imagine that's just being in motion. It's a matter of time with them. There's been nothing from Liverpool. There's rumours City are sort of further along, and it was the catalyst. I know at the start Chelsea and City were both one of the ones that was rumoured to not be 100% on it. And then that seems to have come to fruition now. The likes of Tottenham, there's been nothing. Arsenal, nothing. United have put out this little tidbit about the scumbag in chief, but that's about it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think this is them trying to buy a bit of time with news that they were going to announce anyway. Maybe in 2 months' time, if the ESL sort of took off, they would go, right, job's done. He's going, by the way. There was some occasion where they were planning to release this information, and it was tonight. That was because they wanted to be seen to be proactive in it.
But you need to think about as well the ramifications of that sort of departure based on the stock exchange. So obviously there's going to be, will there be a positive impact? There will be obviously he's
stock price.
Because obviously, right. So then they've taken that risk then in order to appease fans / get a scapegoat. But surely, what's the reason for him to be there at the end of the season? I think we're getting way ahead of ourselves and way too excited about the fact that the Glazers could be selling. And
I don't believe I didn't say that. I think basically they just want to pin it on him, try and go back to normal and gloss over it all. I don't think they have any plans of selling really. At this very moment in time, if they were ever going to sell it, this would be the least money they'll get for it in the current state that it's in. So I don't think now's the time. I think maybe eventually. There's rumors that they've been talking about this and planning this for years. With Woodward for years and years, and now that it's fallen through, they might be thinking the big evil plan here has failed. So let's sell up, but just not yet because we need to get the most money for the sale.
Right. Imagine this, right? The point you made there is probably correct. Actually,
hold on, you broke up there. Go back 5 seconds. Your connection went there. Go back to the start of your sentence.
Right. No, I'm just saying imagine having this big master plan, right? The Glazers, Madrid, Barca, Daniel Levy, all the boys, right? And then they announce it on a Sunday, right? They give it 2 days. There's been a serious amount of backlash, right? But they must have expected that. And how can they just bottle it now? Like they've literally just bottled it. All the big men in the thing. It was they were falling like dominoes so much that I started to think, Christ, they're going to sort of create their own clubs now. I was like, what do they all do? Like, is it not mental? Say it's 6-7 years in the making. They announce it on Sunday night, the eve of the Champions League structure format change, and then they just pull out, sack all their boys, and that's it, done for the Tuesday night. Yeah, is that the power of the fans, or is that just fucking idiots?
Do you know what it is? It is power of the fans, because if the fans are the real thing. I heard people talking about going, if like at the time when everyone was going, right, this is definitely going ahead. There's no way they've done this without knowing that it's going to go through. There's a lot of that talk, but people were saying like fans aren't the main thing that they're worried about not getting. The only thing that will knock this in the head if you have like one department is the players. If the players don't go along with it, this can't happen. Without the players, they have nothing. They don't have football. Without the fans, they can move it over to Delhi, and the 75,000 fans that they have every week in Old Trafford, they can get 75,000 over there, no problem at all. Doesn't affect their pocket. Just different fans. They don't care. They don't care about the Manchester in itself. They don't care about the UK. They just care about the money. So that's what I think. That the fans didn't really do this. What I think is, it's basically like if you imagine, like I'm not a big fan, but like James Bond, right? And he has like a whole load of different bad guys, and if they're all in a big major plot against James Bond to finally win and be the main dudes, and then there starts to be a chink in one of them, and then they start going, right, if we follow through in this, we're all going to be toast. So I'm going to jump first. The first one to jump, that's when the dominoes go. Right, right. Well, this isn't going to happen. So we need to be the next to jump to look the best. That's why, like when Chelsea announced it, everyone was going, "Oh, fantastic! Respect Chelsea." I was sitting there going, "They still did it." They still the dotted line. They still did it. Fair enough, you're the first to get out, but you still did it.
Yeah, when you think about it, right? So Chelsea and City were like got the best of the bad press, right? Which was they were kind of they were sort of had their arm forced, and those seem to be the ones that are first out. So there's kind of still an opportunity for the next team to go as being the good guys, because they're the do you know what I mean? Like in terms of you were talking about the first one to go, but they were sort of not really in anyway, and so it's the next person it's the last chance. The next club gets the last chance of saving a bit of grace. But I mean, so my thought process on this was never going to happen. A lot of nonsense. How can this happen? This is happening because they wouldn't have went this far, as you said. Because you cannot turn back on that. There's no coming back from it, right? But then 300 Chelsea fans bring a couple of flags down. Gary Neville has a rant. It's all off. Sack your main men.
I don't.
It's nonsense. Of course not. But you know what I mean. Like at the end of the day, like it's far too early to see what the effect would have been, because I think there's an argument to be made that even hardline football purists, I'm not one of those. But I know that people would have just, over time, just got over it and wanted to watch those games and just paid the subscriptions and just went quiet about it. Similar to any sort of protest sometimes, where it's like, well, big show of strength, and actually, well, it's grand now, sure, for all about it.
I think you could have been right if the reaction worldwide wasn't this bad, and I think the managers coming out against it, the players starting to come out against it, that was the nail in the coffin. If they had shut up and been promised this big pay packet, which they've probably done sort of, hush hush, saying often, you'll be 10 times richer. I think perhaps that still happened, but every footballer didn't, like, enough of them was like, no, this is not happening. Like your man Henderson bringing all the captains together, they've all just went, do we want to ruin our whole entire legacies over this and lose all the power? Like there's no competition at all. Like the teams in that league were going to own that league, and there's no board, there's no FA, there's nothing to keep things in line so that clubs don't do things for their own personal interests. So they would control the referees. There was somebody I was listening to earlier made a fantastic point. Basically said, so imagine Real Madrid is in the final of this competition against one of the teams that have been invited in, one of the 5 that just randomly got lucky or paid enough money to get in, and it's the final and it's the last minute. Is the referee going to want to give a penalty against Real Madrid, their boss, right at the end? Like this is some serious mafia gang stuff going on there.
Yeah.
Because how how can a club competing be fairly? It's like grassroots football when like somebody's dad is the referee in one of the matches on Sunday League or something, and like you're always going to be thinking, was that decision because he's his dad?
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. I've I've refereed a match. I've been an umpire in a cricket game. Where you're umpiring your own team, and that's like no LBWs. It's like that's. But again, see all those things. But the point valid, well made, right? However, we don't know what the product is, and looks like we're not going to see what the product will be. So we've been given a shell, right? We've got
oh,
20
no, no,
teams.
they were announcing things today, like this is how it's going to be. Like
No,
they
but
had.
it's that's going to evolve over time. There probably would have been somebody put their hand up to adjudicate things. It would have been an impartial body. There would have been maybe different
No, no, no.
tiers. There's so many different things we don't know.
This was announced, confirmed. This is the way it's going to be. We own that league. There's no FA. There's nothing like that. The 12 founder clubs have the ultimate say. That's it. That they just wanted all the power and they wanted more money out of it. They want to control every single thing. That's why they had it in the basically from the very start. The 12 founder clubs cannot be relegated. They can't be put out of the league. They're guaranteed every single year that they're in this. And
Mm.
one thing that came out this morning that really made things look quite ominous that it's going to happen is there was a ruling in the Spanish courts come out that, and I don't know how it would have worked across all the English teams and the Italian teams, but in the Spanish court, there was something that was, it was put in place where the UEFA and the likes of the FA had they can't stop this from starting. So it was like an injunction to say, right, this is happening, and you can't stop this because of this. You can have
Yeah.
your own things you want to say about it, but you can't stop it happening. So that came out today, and do you know what? There's rumors Barcelona, right? But it could be a case where Real Madrid, what happens with them? Because they're clearly the main guys here. I know we're like sort of second in command. As far as
That's something worth debating or talking about as well. Like Real Madrid, Perez is obviously he's the general. But like we're the bloody lieutenant. Like, and why is that? Like, can you think about it in terms of well,
so,
there's a point that you made earlier on, which is interesting as well. So you mentioned the worldwide backlash. I wonder what it's like outside of the UK. I wonder people are saying in Italy and people are saying in Spain. Like, I wonder, because there are people out there in the UK that are like, well, grand, happy days, this sounds good, big games, blah, blah, blah. Like, I wonder, is it as like ferocious in those countries? I haven't looked at that. I don't know what people are saying, like in Milan or in Barca or
there
Madrid.
has been every footballer that has come out to talk about it. There's been nobody that's backed it in any way. Either they've been somewhat neutral, or Zidane, who's obviously got a bloody gun to his head, says, "Don't ask me." It's just, I think everywhere nobody was really happy with what's going on. Everyone's thinking nobody really likes change, and the way it was done was so scummy. On a Sunday, none of the football teams, apart from the secret 12, knew anything about it. The managers didn't know about it. You mean to tell me there wasn't a single journalist out there that didn't know about this unless this was done so sneaky in the background, non-disclosure agreements up to Yahoo that you'd get bloody shot if you spilled anything about it. Like this would have took planning. And all the stuff that was coming out today, they were well advanced in what they were planning. This was going to happen, and so the scummy nature of it basically was, we don't care what anybody's got to say. They even said something about they're not worried about the fan backlash.
Yeah, but that's true.
They didn't warm us up for it. Like when the Premier League was starting up, or just before they started that, they were going like, "We're the good guys. Here's what you're going to get." Sort of, it's going to happen anyway. Wink, wink. But let us know. Blah blah blah. This was more like, right. this is happening. And also the fact that there's nobody in the crowds, nobody in the stadiums because of COVID and stuff, they just thought, right, now's the chance to make, like, everybody's, COVID has affected everybody financially for better or for worse, mostly for worse. And everyone's getting, like, all this is now coming through where these 12 billionaire clubs that have more money than you could ever imagine are now potentially tearing apart the whole fabric of football. For what purpose? To make more money.
Yeah.
And people are like, no, I hate this. I hate this. I
But you
don't
see,
think it doesn't matter what
right.
country you're in. Don't forget the countries you're referring to there, the likes of Holland or France. They're probably more fuming because they're not included. They're not getting money.
No,
They have
I
to be
purposely,
invited.
I purposely didn't mention Holland or France because they're not there. But obviously, PSG have said no, and that there's got to be a reason for that. Is it because they were worried about the Champions League having the plug pulled this year? And it's the first time they could win it, and they feel like I know. But the thing is, we need to talk about the whole thing. I was looking forward to coming onto this to discuss this.
Why is
But now
why is I in there and Spurs were? Ajax of what, 4 Champions League titles? Spurs were.
Well, Nottingham Forest have got 2. Spurs have got 0. Spurs have never even won. Aston Villa, yeah. Celtic. Well, there's Benfica. There's millions. There's not millions. There's about 28 or something. Or not even as many as that. No. So I was looking forward to coming on and talking about the European Super League, right? And about my thoughts about it, and the fors and against, and what I think about it, and all that, and about the chances of it happening. Whereas now the world has now changed direction once again. So what is the live update right now? I'm going to go on to Sky Sports here and see. There's bound to be more news because I had some good points. I'd really spent time looking at this, and it would have been an absolute.
Talk about it now.
Exactly. No, it's all.
I've got lots to say.
It's like talking. It's like, I'm like yesterday's newspaper now. Let me see.
Romano's most recent tweet or retweet is David Alaba is ready, 99% ready to join Real Madrid. What the timing of that? That's crazy. But one thing I want to know that hasn't really been discussed yet, it's obviously very early days. What are the Premier League going to do about this? Say all 6 clubs, and you imagine that is going to happen. Say all the 6 clubs do pull out of it. What do the Premier League do, sort of in retrospective action against them? Do they just go, we got away with one there, that was a close one? Do they go, right, here's a financial ban? Is it really fair to do like a points deduction or anything like that? Because that's directly affecting the fans. But again, a financial one is they're doing this because then are they going to be less likely to go out and spend money?
But unfortunately, we are represented by the club, so we're collateral damage to the clubs being punished, and they took it upon themselves to do this, knowing that we'd be indirectly affected or directly affected, and therefore. But see, the thing is, not that there's loads and loads of points here, right? And we could probably do a 3-hour podcast on this. But is there a point to be made about this being an absolute power play? Like I said on Sunday, I think there's either it's a legitimate thing that's never going to get through, or it's something that they're doing to show how quickly they can just take control and tell UEFA to clear off and the Premier League to clear off, in order to get preferential treatment and keep things status quo. Because to me, it's fundamentally too quick to pull the plug. Like you can't just go Sunday night, sack everybody out and done, and then go back to normal. There needs to be a purpose for this.
Yeah, this is what I'm asking you about. What do the Premier League do about this in terms of, is it a slap on the wrist or is it a fundamental rule change? If you want to be in this league, you've got to do X, Y, and Z. And also on that, furthermore, not just the Premier League, UEFA on top of that, but then perhaps more powerfully and more that we're not seeing at the minute, what does the government do about it? Because they've already started. I can't remember what the name of the thing is, but they've announced sort of the beginnings of legal proceedings to change how these things work, so that and this was at the point where it was definitely all on and still happening. The government have obviously rushed and says we can't have this happening because the tax money and stuff that they potentially are going to lose out on by the game going global, being obviously the richest and probably most powerful football nation in the world because of the Premier League. If they're thinking we're going to lose this, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of tax money. That's a lot of tourism going. If this becomes a global game, we lose all the power here. So we need to get on this. Like Boris Johnson Sunday night saying something today, legal proceedings beginning. But now that it's looking like it's falling apart and everybody's pulling out. Do they continue and go, right, now this is a legal thing now? You can't leave. You must do X, Y, and Z. And you need to. There needs to be clear transparency that you're going to leave. So there must be there's a 5-year cool off period where you got to go, right, in 5 years we're leaving. This is how we're going to do it and be fair that way, so things can be distributed and financially things will go better. But do they also go with the German league, their 50+1 rule, where the fans must own more than 50% of the club? Because that's the only reason that the German clubs didn't win.
Well, assuming so. But yeah, how do you go from a sorry, go ahead.
The reason PSG didn't go in is because the owner of PSG just literally, I think it was within the last year, put a ginormous investment into the Champions League.
Like it would be in sports or something?
They would stand to lose a metric ton by this going ahead. So probably more than what they would have gained of being in it. And then the reason the German...
But to the people that were... This all ties into power play. Because if you're United, and say just taking that in Madrid as say they were the first conversation or whatever, the first thing you say is, say it was 2 years ago, like for example, right? So the first thing you do is you go, right, the Germans won't be able to do it. We know there's backlash, so the Germans can't do it. There's a massive roadblock immediately, right? Then say, for example, that beIN Sports deal with the part of the PSG owner that was in the talks processes, or it was just being signed off or whatever. They're not going to go in. So no PSG, no Bayern Munich, no Dortmund, and I don't know, no Leipzig. They probably weren't even in the frame. What I mean is like that's 3 clubs. Without them, you cannot have the Super League, because it's not. You need to have everybody, all of those big clubs.
They couldn't have got everybody, but they had enough, because they had. So basically, they were going to add another 3. So the other 3 were clubs that we may not ever find out who they were. They were probably waiting in the wings to see how the 12, because the 12 founder clubs and then these 3 additional ones are different levels, because they're not founder ones. They're not guaranteed, as far as I know. Everything in the air, obviously. So they're probably going, right, well, you aren't giving us the same sort of power, so we'll wait and see how this plays out. And everything goes ahead. We'll sign the dotted line. And then there was talk of the other 5 places where obviously we know they were sort of have to be invite only sort of way. But there was apparently weird stipulations, like a team that performed the best but didn't qualify for Champions League and all this guff that they'll make up just to get whoever they want in. And then they were obviously talking about expanding it as well above 20 teams. So was it we get the founder teams in, and then basically what we do is we make it a global league where there is no Premier League, Championship, League One in England. There'll obviously still be grassroots and the Sky Sports League, England. Whoever's going to try and do a secondary league, and then it turns into bloody, WWE versus, the other
WCW.
Where it's basically like you pick, do you want to go with like the global big fancy Americanized one, or do you sort of go more grassroots and then they have a fight on that?
See all those points, but
they were going to expand on those original 20 that it got bigger and bigger and bigger. Get easy. Let's edge it in. More and more clubs, pull them out of their own leagues until they've got the Super League, where with the founder teams, including bloody Tottenham, the founder leagues, they can never be. That's why. So why do you think they had it in there where you can't be relegated? Because it's not a league. It's not as if you finish bottom, you go to European Second League.
No, you get a
They
wooden spoon just simply, and you start again next year.
But they put that in because they were going to add more teams to it. And then eventually, the top, you had the ESL 1, first 20 teams. Then you have ESL 2. But if you're one of the founder teams, you can never go from 1, so you can finish bottom.
Aye.
So eventually, they were going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they get all the likes of Ajax in. Because if this got off the ground and it started making the money that it was, and they seen the fans were coming back on it, there's no club that was going to stand firm 20 years down the line going, nope, still don't want the money. Like the Bayern, like even the German teams, the fans have eventually voted for it too. So the whole plan was get bigger and bigger and bigger. You could have 10 European Super Leagues, and you've got the likes of they're basically turning the Champions League into a giant league, and they were sucking away all the top teams from the other leagues, and then everybody else has to just piss off and take the scraps.
Right.
That's what
but I think which proves the point as well, that the plan that we were given, or the plan that we're in its form right now, is in its infancy. There's so many things to add to it, and so there's no point really debating like what, when, and how. But I think it's more what we need to think about now is, like, if you think about the league itself, like think about the bit that I just couldn't get was, well, we'll keep on playing the Premier League, and we'll keep on playing domestic trophies. Premier League come out and say, right, you can't play in the Premier League, you can't play for country. It's just, and there wouldn't have been a negotiation, obviously, and there would have been some sort of compromise somewhere, obviously. But that's why I just don't see it. I just think it simply is those big clubs going, we want more money from our domestic leagues, and we want more say in how the Champions League is run, and maybe the prize money, or maybe the broadcasting money and things like that. So they were a show of strength. Like, you see if you keep bullying us, Premier League, La Liga, here it is, Champions League, UEFA, we will just take it out of your hands, and we'll just start our own league. Knowing that actually it was never going to go through, and they couldn't do it because of the fan backlash. So I think they've pulled out far too quick for it to be a proper measured plan that they were properly going to try and execute. Like, to me, it's a way of getting more clout from those institutions.
I think they've pulled out so quickly that it's because it's been such a failure, and they're trying to cut their losses. I think if they're trying to do what you were saying that they were trying to do, they would have held on a lot longer. It would have been a case where, right, I know you don't like it, and the players are coming out, but this is happening, so you better make us a good deal, or it'll keep going on. I don't think. Basically, I think my analogy before about the sort of the evil henchmen around the place. As soon as one gets turned or one starts falling, then they'll all look after themselves, and the whole plan goes out the window then immediately, and then that's how James Bond wins. But one of the point I was getting to before was what happens now for the likes of the FA and the UK government. What do they put into place now to ensure that this never happens again? Because look how close we got this time. And who's to say that they don't try this again 5-10 years down the line?
I just don't believe it. It was such a mad thing that I seen as impossible, to holy fuck, they're actually doing this, to less than 48 hours later, we're not doing this no more. Like, I'm less interested in what the government are going to do. What I'm interested in is what the Premier League are going to do immediately, and what UEFA are going to do immediately. I think that's an interesting conversation, because do you dock United points? Do you dock City points? What happens in the Champions League? Do you reinstate Atlanta and Dortmund, and whoever else was, like, back into, and do you get rid of City and Chelsea and Real Madrid? Like, I don't think, honestly, I think there is a case to be made, and I could be totally wrong with this, where if we look back on this in 2 months' time, 8 weeks, it's all just forgotten about. It was all just a big facade. Like, we're back to normal. No sanctions. No nothing. Everyone's just so glad that we've got normality back. Maybe there's a bit of change in legalities in terms of legislation in the government across all three jurisdictions. So Spain, England, and Italy, where they can't do it again. But it could just be a wee switch click somewhere. No sanctions. Everybody's just so happy that madness has stopped. So we get back to normal now. Crack on with it. We'll talk about the new Champions League format. We'll get ready for that, and we'll just crack on. I don't think that's outrageous. I think that is something that could actually, in part, happen. Because what are the Premier League actually going to do?
Well, that's a good question. That's why I'm more interested in seeing what the government's going to do, because they've obviously got a horse in this race. I think long term, that's more interesting to me, what the government's going to do now. Really, the Premier League and UEFA, if they do anything, it will really only extend to this season. And is that another part of the play with the whole Woodward getting him out? Is that sort of they can go to the UEFA and go, listen, we got bad advice here. We're sorry. We've got rid of him. But Florentino Perez, he can't do that. He's sunk.
But Ed Woodward didn't force and have a gun to Joel Glazer's head to go and do a feature and be on every. What about that, by the way? Joel Glazer's on the Liverpool website, the Chelsea website, the City website, our website. It was just the whole. Think about the gravity of how embarrassing this all is, and how desperate it is. Anyway, sorry. So,
but no, Jesus. That's a good point. That's why I'm saying to you that they haven't planned this to end this quickly. It was either going to go all the way through, or they were going to get themselves into a strong enough position where UEFA had to do something drastic to keep them. But I think it went so badly for them in terms, if every player comes out against it, all the managers come out against it, obviously all the fans have come out against it, it won't work. It was already, how is this going to work? But how is this going to work? And on top of that, nobody wants it. Nobody's going to watch it. The footballers aren't going to want to go, because don't forget, they're not the only people with money that could do something. Sky, a giant benefactor, and goes, listen, let them go, but we'll put a whole crap ton of money in and see the teams that are loyal to you, they'll get it. And they'll be the interesting ones, because who's going to want to
No, because Sky would be too scared not to cover the Super League because of the fan bases.
Still have the Champions League. And what if the fan bases all desert the clubs, that these rogue clubs that turned their backs on them?
Yeah. Well,
the amount of people I heard sort of secondhand saying, I'm getting rid of my season ticket, I don't care what you say.
But I think there's an element of emotion behind that. It's similar to the likes of I'm trying to think of an example. There's an opposite example, like the gravity. This is obviously it's football, but in the grand scale of things, it's actually not that important. But
the same way people are happy and so elated about the news tonight, it could very easily go the other way than what you were saying tomorrow, where the hate comes back and go, listen, actually, I don't like with the Chelsea thing saying, all right, fair play, you were the first, but you still did it. You're still scumbags. I think that it'll still be very strong, especially with the fan channels are going crazy. And you might laugh about hearing about the fan channels, but they're massive. Millions of people subscribe, hundreds of thousands, millions of views on every video every day.
You see the viewership on the paddock there when the Woodward news broke, or not the paddock, sorry, the stand. It was like 300,000 people watching it. That's mental. That's more than bloody BBC News at 6 o'clock.
But what's gonna make money for the journalists and the fan channels and the broadcasters at the minute? It's all gonna be rubbing the salt into the wound of these chaps. It's gonna be right. You did it. You've said sorry, but really, what are we gonna do about this? So I think that's gonna sort of rumble on, and I don't think people will forget so quickly. Maybe, as you say, months down the line, perhaps. But this has been so monumentous that this isn't going to be forgotten. And people won't be as vitriolic as they are right now, but this can't be forgotten. It's not like as if it's going to be like a quiz question in 10 years' time, what happened in 2021, where what were the clubs, and you're going to go, oh, flip, who was that? Was United in that? No, it's going to be, oh fuck, do you remember that? Remember when we had a year of COVID, and then at the end of it, we thought football had completely betrayed us, and are the club that we love, we stopped supporting since then.
And they done it, what, 4 weeks or 3 weeks after we started the fan channel. So they'd probably seen that we were trying to get a fan channel and went, do you know what we're going to do? Pull the plug. Here, what about that? But see what you said about the ramifications of that and the thing. There has to be a wee bit of, you have to have a wee bit of sympathy for Tottenham, because not only are they going to get done for doing it, but they're also going to get done from the other perspective of, why on earth were you there in the first place? Like, every other club, you could say, well, they deserve, like, they're big enough or they're successful enough. I mean, if Atletico Madrid, I mean, really, as well, but here, by the way, I was just checking the update there, just in terms of the live information. So, Jordan Henderson's just tweeted, "We don't like it and we don't want it to happen. This is our collective position. Our commitment to this football club and its supporters is absolute and unconditional. You'll never walk alone." So, good man, Jordan.
What about this for a spanner in the works? What if these rumours, because there's nothing confirmed now, what if these rumours of Chelsea and City pulling out are either they're unfound and people are just like clutching at straws hoping it happens, or what if they're the only ones to actually go and it goes ahead just without them?
See, I can't see a Super League without Chelsea, without City.
They would still have already 4 Premier League teams and the 2 biggest ones.
Right, I don't want to talk about it. That'll be sick. If that's the case.
Here,
to leave City there to win it. To leave them in there in the Premier League to go and win it 20 times. No thanks. Well, we're not even there to protect our own back garden.
Who's in charge of making this decision? The Glazers? Do you think they're going to go, no, we can't move because we don't want City win the league?
Oh, do you know what? The Glazers are actually not too bad. We're all right, no. I ordered Heath's shirt there this morning.
Is everybody just getting really giddy right now and just going?
No, stop it. I want to believe it. I'm in a good mood. I've had a Guinness on a Tuesday. Come on. I don't want to listen to this nonsense.
I'm playing devil's advocate there. Like, what if that is the case? Because it seems like the whole world's exploding here, potentially a wee bit prematurely. What has actually happened up to
Says you?
What?
You didn't let the toaster fucking pop before you had your video up saying it was a terrible idea, and I was sitting going, do you know what? This is actually isn't that big, loads of big games. United against Madrid, no. That's like I'm intrigued by that. That might be, before I knew anything. And but then obviously let's go to that point as well, right? Which is obvious, which is, do you want to play Madrid on a week 1, Barca on week 2, for the current weeks, or do you want to look forward to those big occasions? Do you want to feel like you deserve to be in the semi-final of the Champions League? It takes away the excitement of that big fixture. It doesn't happen too often, and obviously there's loads. And then I wanted to talk about all of that stuff because I really get into it myself mentally today about, like, imagine having to, well, Jesus.
What has actually happened? What's confirmed? What's confirmed?
Well, I'll tell you what is confirmed, right?
Woodward's leaving, but he was leaving anyway. City and Chelsea are preparing to leave. Jordan Henderson slobbered about it. A lot of other footballers are slobbered about it. Marcus Rashford put out a picture about fans. Apparently, everyone shook their head there, going, "Oh well, have you seen what Rashford did?" Well, yeah, okay. It's a nice wee move, but he didn't come out and condemn fully United and the Glazers and burn a shirt or anything like.
That's because he's got a mortgage to pay, Bridley. However, I tell you what has happened factually, right? Did you hear about Peter Cech? When he came out to, was it Stamford Bridge or was it the Amex? Was it Stamford Bridge they were playing tonight?
I think it's
it must have been. Anyway, so he comes out, the story. He comes out and he says to the protesting fan, he says, "Give us time, give us time." So that's the facts. So is that to stop them protesting on a Tuesday night to then say only win game tomorrow, or no? Oh, you've got me thinking that.
Oh, I'm saying I think it's done. I do think it's done, but I do also think we're just so relieved that this might
I
not be
know,
happening
and I'm
because
so
we
relieved
were
that Woodward's gone as well.
he was
Oh.
going anyway. He was going anyway.
I
A very
didn't know
smart
that
move.
until half an hour ago.
No,
Didn't know that until an hour ago.
very smart move for them releasing that. Either way, it happens. The whole thing that changed that was he was going to go anyway. It wasn't now he's going. It's he had planned to leave anyway, but we're announcing it now.
Yeah, but I don't really care. I'm so excited about the fact that he's going, right? So forget about the tactics, forget about the scapegoating or the smoke screens. It's he's going, right? And there's like got a good man comparing that was at the Stamford Bridge. Yeah, what's the score, by the way? Like, hopefully they're getting chinned.
A big man, Rich. He's a Crystal Palace fan. One of the
Oh,
KG crew. He's a Palace fan, and I've already told him that I have a strong dislike for him because of the last time it was at Old Trafford. The beat us
aye,
2-1.
3-1.
Remember that Stan James scored that absolute peach top right hand corner.
I was right in the trajectory of his shot. Um, was it 3-1 or 2-1?
It was 2-1. Just scored right at the
2-1.
end.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that there's a club in Palace that are obviously nil each. Must be half time, is it? Or no? It was delayed because of the big protest. Peter checked out, stoking the fire. What were you saying there, Brit, about? Yeah, so you think it's done. I think it's done. Woodward, good news. He got Chevrolet off the shirt, which is good.
Don't listen to him.
Did that actually happen? No, it didn't.
Inside. 54th minute, I would say. You see, Luke doesn't like typing more than a couple of digits, a couple of letters and characters. Got wee sore thumbs.
Here, Rich, what do you think about Saha? Is he going to go and join one of the clubs in the Super League, or is he going to stay at Selhurst Park? There's a good question for you.
I'd love to know what
about
Rich and the other, not to be disrespectful, but the smaller clubs, what are the fans of those clubs? What were they thinking? I know True Geordie was quite, what word he was saying basically that I was happy enough. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see the world burn because as a Newcastle fan, I've been effed about so much. I was happy enough to watch the world burn. It would be entertaining. I'd like to see what other people had thought about it. Or do they now just like have sort of a moral superiority over us all?
Interesting. I don't know what, and
we were the ones that tried to desert them. They were the ones that was going to be left behind. And is this going to be what they do? Is the Premier League going to completely alter the way the funds are going to be distributed through the clubs, the TV money and things like that? Is it going to be now spread more evenly across? Are we going to be reduction? Maybe over the next 5 years, you don't get any.
Well, there's something that I did think about earlier on, which is one of the points I had about before we got the news, about the pullouts and stuff like that. Yeah, as a some player, by the way. I don't know where his ceiling is though. I think he's a good player. He's got potential, he's young and everything, but if I was to get rid of one, that would probably be Eze. See on the on the broadcast money, the Sky money and the BT money, it's do you know something that I always do actually think about all the time is how lucky we are to be United fans and that the fan base that we do and the viewership that we have because we get to watch I know at the minute, every game's live. I appreciate that, right? But if you think about it back in the olden days, pre-COVID, we had the most televised games, so thank God. So is that going to actually change now? Hopefully not. I don't see how it would, but it's something that did come across my mind today, and I was like, Jesus, see if we don't get as many live games on on the prime spots.
We'll do this. I didn't even think about actually when I was saying about how they were going to distribute the funds. Would that be just directly everything stays the same? You probably are televised the same amount, but they distribute it in a different way, like the Spanish league. basically the Barcelona and Real Madrid get like, I don't know what the number is, even if that number is available, but say they get 90% of TV funds, and then the rest 10% is distributed out on the rest. So they obviously have the power to, sort of distribute it how they want, but they give it to the sort of the big players. Rich saying more there. I'm gonna bring it up. Rich, Crystal Palace fan, so happy the clubs are pulling out of the ESL. It would have financially crippled a club like us, Crystal Palace, because no one would watch Palace versus Burnley. Nobody wants to watch them now anyway, so you were probably right there.
What about those Super Sundays, but when the 4 o'clock's a Palace Burnley game, like you're literally going for a walk or like sticking on a film or something, like nobody watches that shit. I'd love to see the viewers and that. Oh, dear.
Mark, there's been a huge development while we've been live. The big man Luke Gurley's in the studio.
Oh my God.
Yes, Rich.
Oh, Rich coming in.
Big son. Let's get him on. Luke doesn't know how this works, so I can see him just chatting away, but he doesn't. We can't hear him. So
he thinks he's chatting to us. Let him in there.
Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add him in, and then we're going to answer him as if we've heard what he said. So, like, answer him like what you had for dinner or something like that. Let's bring him in.
Yeah.
There he is, the big man, Luke Gurley.
Well, welcome to United Fan TV, Luke.
Right, I can barely hear the sound now, but
that was a very good question that you were asking there about 10-15 seconds ago there, Luke. It's very insightful.
I had a vegetarian. I had a vegetarian mimosa, with garlic bread.
Right.
Anyway, so Luke's a Liverpool fan. What's your opinions?
Have you had a masala recently brewed?
Sorry to all the fans that are listening to all this local banter.
Just to remind you, you're now live on UTD Fan TV.
Am I live on the United TV?
No, the UTD Fan TV. Give us an opinion. As a Liverpool fan, what are you thinking right now? Are you disgusted?
I think
with
it's done. I think the whole thing's finished.
Let us know what you think about Liverpool, though, specifically.
Specifically Liverpool? I'm a wee bit disappointed with Liverpool specifically. I thought the whole culture of the club would have meant a wee bit more to the owners, and I thought the owners had actually bought into the whole concept of it's a family club, it's all that there, you'll never walk alone, all that there, that whole culture side of things. But they're obviously just lining their pockets, so it didn't really mean as much as it doesn't mean anything to them. They're more about getting money.
What do you think? In the current situation where we've heard from City, indirectly, you've heard from City, you've heard from Chelsea. There seems to be movement. United have made a big announcement there, and we've already touched on that. But there seems to be very little to nothing from Liverpool directly at this stage. What do you think about that?
I actually wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool were one of the ones pulling the strings in the background, given that the whole thing is based around like an American system where you've got like the NBA, you do like a 7-game final, or there was talk of like a 3-game knockout phase. If you went 2 up, you were through. That to me stinks of American and like an American kind of culture in sport. So it wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool were one of the ones who were actually like driving the whole thing.
Yeah, but you see, just on that as well, you must be happy enough with what you've seen from the club. I don't mean from the club itself. I'm talking about Jordan Henderson. I'm talking about the tweets and him calling the captain's meeting, and like there has been quite a lot of. Well, has there been, or is it just simply been Henderson retweeted by Van Dijk, and also Klopp's comments last night? I felt and this morning were pretty good. Whereas we've heard nothing from Ollie. He hasn't had a chance. He hasn't had a game. We know that Maguire apparently and Luke Shaw has confronted Woodward. Physically confronted him. But I think you're right. There's an American vibe to it, and obviously with FSG being, in terms of what the business that they're in, But I'm just hoping that it's all done now. That's it all over, and
I'm hoping so as
look
well.
forward. Just look
I think-
forward to 21
Hey, it's just
titles next season.
in here, just about in here, there is quite an important development that's happened with reference to Liverpool. It's just come out on Sky Sports there. Liverpool sponsor withdraw from their partnership. Tribus watches have withdrawn their advertising with Liverpool as we stand. Is this the first of all these type of things potentially happening? Is this
Yeah.
the start?
Yeah. I think they've come up with this concept thinking, people will buy into this because it's going to be big games each and every week, but they don't understand that you have to earn, like, there's a culture here. You have to earn the right to be there. You don't win just because you've got the most money. You're the biggest and because you're the biggest and you have the most. You have to earn it. Is what Pep Guardiola was saying. It's not sport if you don't earn it. Where if you look at the American NBA system, it all you get players according to drafts, and then you can trade players. So basically, you can maneuver things, and it's just a different culture. It's just a different way of doing things, and I guess that's maybe why American business is so successful, because it is just money driven.
Tribus, their statement is this. I'll read through it quickly, and then there is another development. As the official global timing partner of Liverpool FC and a family of dedicated lifelong fans based in the city of Liverpool, Tribus Watchmakers Limited cannot support the move by the club's owners to break away into a new competition, the Super League. Our values are at the forefront of everything we do, therefore we will be withdrawing from this partnership. Football belongs to the fans and unites us all. It was never intended to benefit the few. The biggest development is an official statement from Man City, a club statement.
Oh, jeepers.
Confirming their withdrawal. Let's whip it up here. It's on their official website.
Hang on, Brood. Go down the United statement first.
Is there a United statement?
Yep.
Oh.
United confirmed Woodward departure.
I should know that. The club statement is from Man City. It takes you directly just to their website, and it's not really much of a statement. It just says Man City Football Club can confirm that it has formally enacted the procedures to withdraw from the group developing plans for a European Super League. So solid confirmation there, just really that they've started it. We had heard that before, but we now know that is definitely the case. That's going to happen. So sort of
very good.
We were talking before, what's actually happened, what's confirmed so far. Woodward is gone, but he was going to be gone anyway. And then you had they had Chelsea and City. There was rumours that they'd done it, but now that is, actually confirmed now. So it's a good sign there. Something has actually physically happened. So it's looking good. What do you think?
Do you think the Woodward? I read that Woodward's not actually going until the end of 2021. Do you think that announcement today is a bit of a smokescreen?
Yes, we discussed this right at the beginning. That was my point.
Right.
I think it's a case he's been made a scapegoat. And there's a very specific reason why they announced that tonight. Like why tonight? They knew it was going to happen at the end of the season anyway. There was a time and a place where they were going to announce it, and it just happened to be tonight. I was just thinking what I'd said to Mark previously was that the City stuff had come out, the Chelsea stuff had come out, that they were starting plans to pull out of this. United had no plan, because United are apparently sort of second in command next or behind Real Madrid to be sort of heading this stuff. So I think the clubs like Chelsea and City have shit the bed, so to speak, and United have seen, we all see this, that everyone's going to pull out of it. United aren't prepared at this stage because they didn't think that this was going to happen so quickly. So what they've thought is, right, twofold the reason for this. he'll be our scapegoat. We can say, look, it was him. He basically acting on his advice. Distraction, giving us something to cheer about, and also that's threefold, and also ban themselves some time to, because apparently as well, a couple of hours ago, United were preparing to make a statement before Friday. So that's how far off they are for this happening. They were not prepared at all for this to end so quickly. So they thought, right, we were going to announce this anyway with him. We'll make him a scapegoat. We'll buy ourselves some time. We'll distract everybody from how terrible we are, and we'll try and get the statement out as soon as possible. But everybody's scrambling for it. What'll do, the big man, Rich, is in the building. So if he's ready, we'll bring him on, see what he's got to say about the latest developments. Rich, what's up?
Good evening, all. Good evening. Thanks for having me on, bud.
Yeah.
Hello,
No
Rich.
problem. The studio is bouncing in here, so
Clearly.
you're lucky.
Nah, I'm going to take this from a footballing perspective first and foremost. This is huge news that this ESL is kind of falling to pot. When the news eventually had come out that they were going to have this breakaway league and that 6 Premier League sides were interested in doing it, I just thought, you lot taking the piss. And like I said, as a Palace fan myself, and as I mentioned in the chat, it's hard enough trying to get fans around the world to watch like a Palace Burnley, Palace Newcastle, whatever it may be, and you're going to restrict us to those games. Like, we're going to be ruined as a club because our revenue would come from the majority of Palace Man United or Man United or Palace Liverpool, etc. So I'm happy it's falling to pot.
We touched on it before. We think if this did go forward, there may have been some sort of big investor that would have come in to sort of back Sky Sports and sort of try and make a competitive league against the ESL. Well, obviously with the teams that weren't invited in, like yourselves, where they had enough money to really invest into all of the leftover clubs like yourself. Sort of basically, if you seen that happening, where do you think Palace would end up in this new league without the big 6? Would you think you'd be sort of top of the league, or do you think you would sort of stay in the position you are now?
Yeah, I think we'll still struggle because the one thing we're good at is developing young players. And those young players will end up in the ESL.
Yeah.
Point, yeah.
That's fair, yeah.
We'll be struggling regardless.
Who are your main competitions? You got to imagine Everton, Aston Villa, West Ham, sort of they're going to be the ones that sort of head this potential new league.
Yeah, definitely. Leeds will probably be up there. Wolves.
Leicester will be
Leicester probably win it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
probably win it, Leicester.
Is there an argument to be made that like some of those smaller clubs, if there was investment, if there was some sort of new way of hashing this together, that could it be potentially a good thing, or is it just like, oh, we won the Premier League or we've got into the top 4, but it's only because we'd always have that stigma of it's because the top 6 are gone and it was easier, and
Steve Parish came out and said, like, listen, we aspire to be in Europe at some point, but we have to earn it. We have to earn it. If we're 14th in the league, it's for a reason.
Yeah, well, true.
Say this did happen and the Premier League stayed as it was, just with new teams. Champions League stayed as it was with new teams. Do you think Palace would be in a stronger position to qualify in this new league than they are at the minute?
It's a tough one because I've got to be realistic as a Palace fan. We've spent many years fighting relegation. And it's only like the last 2-3 seasons we've kind of said, yes, we're an established Premier League side now. Yeah. But then on the flip side, we've seen teams come up like Wolves, Leeds, Villa, and do better than what we're doing. Yeah. So is it a case of, because I mean, there's lots of rumours that Eddie Howe will take over next year, and I'll be so happy about that because our playing style will change. But then does our playing style mean we're more susceptible to being relegated again? So it's kind of like, but because I'm done with Hodgson personally.
Yeah,
we've got too many good players in our side to be playing a back 8. And funny enough,
I think Hodgin is done with Hodgin as well. What is he now? 70
something. And I don't want to discredit what he's done because he's been amazing for us. He's done wonders, but I guess if we had a more attacking playing style, could we pick up more points?
I think Howe would be a fantastic. He'd be great to get in. I think actually, I might be wrong in this, but before Ollie sort of came in, I think Eddie Howe was sort of up there as to be. I think the odds on him coming to United actually were quite short at one period.
We're 5-1 at the time. 5-1.
United. I think United fans would have been pretty happy to see him at that stage. So if we do get him,
Eddie Howe is a solid manager. He's a very good manager.
Yeah,
he'll get his style of football's brilliant. I liken him to Brendan Rodgers. He's just a good solid manager, good solid appointment.
Absolutely.
But he's unproven though with superstar changing rooms. He doesn't have that. That's one thing he has to prove. So, but no, that would be really exciting for Palace, I think. And when you get the crowds back, when Selhurst Park is banging again, hopefully there's no Super League. That could be pretty exciting for you.
And I think as fans, we accept the fact that we're a stable club, but we can be doing better. Can we be pushing for top 10 regular basis and then slowly creep into a Europa League place?
I think if you hit the nail on the head there, you talk about you're an established Premier League football club now after a few years of fighting relegation, being up and down over the last 10, 15 years. You need to kick on now. You need to it's about looking forward instead of you were signing Benteke there, for big money. You've signed a few players for big money. It's about bringing it all together and trying to move forward, trying to aim further up the table, get further up the table, and then start looking at the Europa League.
Isn't it?
But it's
absolutely.
It's putting it into practice though, because there's teams coming from the Championship doing really well, but sometimes it's a one season wonder. There's nothing to say that Leeds will definitely be there next season. I think they will be, but there's nothing to say they won't be in a relegation fight next year.
Yeah, sure.
Similar to Sheffield. But I think that if you think about it, a final point on that, Rich, would be if say the 6 teams were in the Super League and 6 teams were brought up in the Championship, I do think you'd still be in that sort of 15th, 16th, 17th kind of. You get Brentford coming up. Who else would you have?
They're a good side.
Obviously Watford, Norwich. I think you'd be in good company there. So maybe that point is redundant. The smaller clubs aren't maybe going to get a massive kickstart because of this if it was to happen, which hopefully it isn't now. So
but they might still get a financial boost based on whatever the Premier League's going to do to these top 6 teams. Are they going to jig the money? So it could be a case where they get a ban from receiving any monies from the Premier League, and then they redistribute it to the other 12 teams or the other 14 teams that were, it's hard to say loyal because they didn't have the opportunity, but basically the ones, give them something. But just to steer a wee bit back towards the topic at hand, there has been another slight development there when it comes to Liverpool. Look, as the resident Liverpool fan here, do you think or know much of an event called the Spirit of Shankly? Is that a big one for you guys?
Yeah. Sorry,
and I'll read it to you. Look,
go ahead.
The Spirit of Shankly note with anger that club owners FSG are still hanging on to this shattered nightmare of a European, in commas, Super League. We are calling on the FSG board to withdraw our club from this catastrophic idea and consider their positions with immediate effect. To coin a previous campaign of ours, not welcome here.
Yeah, I think
must be a fine group, isn't it?
Like I said, I think Liverpool are one of the forefront runners alongside United and Real Madrid. I'd say Liverpool are probably sitting third in there, and I thought this is a great idea. Think of the games we'll have each and every week, but they're not thinking about players. Can you imagine players playing those games every single week? 2 of those games a week for a whole season. It's difficult enough.
you need a wee break, don't you? And again, go and play something like Palace or something. And just knock it out. Just have a chill out for 90 minutes, and then
The thing is, what happens if there's, for example, let's say Palace on a Sunday, and then Real Madrid on a Wednesday? The kids are going to be playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. So
that's detrimental to the Premier League, which in the Premier League is my favorite tournament. I think it always will be. Brad, you spooked me from earlier. I'm still sitting here a wee bit thinking, Christ, this might still happen.
No. Now with the City confirmed, it's not done and dusted. But look, to back up what you were saying about the FSG there, the Arsenal have fans, well, not the Arsenal fans. The Arsenal has been completely quiet, and obviously they're owned by Stan Kroenke, again, an American business owner. They're probably sort of along the same lines. They were probably up there in terms of pushing this, because again, it's the same as Liverpool, but we haven't heard anything from them yet. Like, is it going to be the case where at the start we had heard Man City and Chelsea were the two ones that were sort of hemming and hawing, are we actually going to do this? And they're the only ones now that there's been rumours that they're actually, like, strong rumours that they're going to pull out, now confirmed by City. Is it a case where if those two do pull out and it's all confirmed, are the rest just going to go, well, we're still here, let's go for it?
Oh, it gives me the creeps. No.
And how on earth have Spurs got themselves in this conversation? Surely there should be you need to have won a trophy in the last 10 years or something before you're on the conversation.
Yeah, that's mad. Like, but they've got a class stadium, but got a class stadium.
Yeah, I think it's only because they've got because obviously they got Levy, but then is it Enoch and Thomas? I believe their names. One of them's American. So
are they?
They're everywhere.
It's all the Americans.
I know the Americans have got a lot to do with this.
Yeah, I think that's what we were talking about just before you came on there. I think there is a massive American element to it, and that's why City and Chelsea have both shit the bed and been like, "Yeah, we just decided the other day we were in on this. We're out again because they're Russians and sheiks."
What we need is, because like me and Bradley were talking this earlier, that the City and Chelsea, their comments or the commentary around them was they only went into this half-heartedly because they had to. It's going to take one of the other four, or Barca or Madrid, to pull out for it to be definitely dead. I think.
I agree.
So let's hope that happens in the next 5 minutes, hopefully. Oh,
yeah. Brighton are all over Chelsea here.
Nil each still.
Nil each, and Brighton should have had 2 goals in the last 3 or 4 minutes here.
I won't have a bad word said about Chelsea. Look, they saved my life the other day.
What was that? The match. Apparently, there's going to be they're going to storm the pitch tonight. There's going to be about 7 people running on there trying to. Like we had.
All the ball boys now.
What's worrying me is that these big drastic bits of news that are coming out are really slowing down. It seemed like things were going 100 miles an hour, and now that they seem to be slowing down. Are the rest of the teams just sort of biding the time? They're Bellerin. I think that's probably the first Arsenal player that I've seen mention anything. He's just put up a quote for an Arsene Wenger quote. All the Arsenal lovers take care of the values of the club, my love and support forever. There's something.
But you see the thing. You see the thing about Spurs and Arsenal. Like, all those guys are like, look, guys, this is well above my pay grade. You all deal with it. We shouldn't even be here in the first place. You deal with it, and we'll do whatever you need us to do. That's probably what's happening behind the scenes.
Yep.
UEFA are sticking the boot in as well. President Seferin, I'm delighted to welcome Man City back to the European football family. They've shown great intelligence. City are a real asset, and I'm delighted to be working with them for a better future. So they're really sort of clinging on to everybody that starts to fall away here. It's another indication there that we're still maybe a while away from getting proper confirmation from the rest of the clubs. Like, as I said before, United rumoured only to be making a statement by Friday. So they're happy to let the world burn, so to speak, for the next 3 days, and then make a statement, and it's not going to really improve the situation for them.
Yeah, it's an interesting, because obviously Joe Glazers vice chairman of this.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, because I guess if United pull out, then the whole thing's off, or if Madrid pull out, the whole thing's off unless somebody else picks up the reins.
No, but I think if Barca go, or perhaps one of the Milan clubs, if they go, I think that's proper. That's a plug. That's a plug pull. Like, I just it's been a roller coaster of an evening. Like, it was I was getting ready to talk about the ESL, then it was off, then Chelsea, then protest, then everybody's getting sacked, then Woodward was sacked, and I got a beer out, and then Chelsea are playing. I'm trying to keep an eye on that. You know, it's a good time to be alive. There it is. Put him in jail there.
I wonder why it came out on a Sunday as well. Why publish that on a Sunday? Was there any rationale for that?
Well, it wasn't the DUP, look, so it was all right. Like, you know, you can do things that aren't on a Sunday, like. But no, it was, and apparently Ollie heard about it, like literally before kickoff, about it as well. It's mental.
That's when it came out, before kickoff. But that's what I'm wondering. Like, why? Surely you would have, like, surely there would have been some sort of, like, plan in place to release this on a, during the order of business.
No, it was just straight in, no kissing. We're
Do you know
doing
what I was
this.
thinking?
There you go.
Why it was released on the Sunday, like in the middle of the United game and stuff? Is it a case where it suited United to release it just at this time, in terms of United don't play?
Surely that wasn't planned. If United are one of the forefront runners of organising this, releasing it just before they play or as they're playing a game.
Yeah, because we could have got chinned
in an important run-in.
Yeah, maybe it was starting to leak, or they thought the leak was just about to happen, so they thought, right, now we've got to pull the trigger now.
Get in front of this here before it takes us. Yeah.
I think we're coming to the end of how much more we can really talk about this until we get some more big news. So we'll call an end to it there. Look, shout out your YouTube channel there, would you?
What?
Riley 91.
Riley 91. Is it I?
That's it.
On 0 subscribers. Let's get that up to at least 1 by the end of the year.
Yeah, get you 1. Absolutely.
All right.
Mark,
right,
give your YouTube channel a wee shout out.
You talking to me?
I said Mark. I'm going to leave Big Rich to the end. I said you, Mark.
Oh, United Fan TV with UTD.
Yeah, UTD Fan TV. Yep, that's the place to be. And what about you, Big Rich? You think plug?
I'm actually considering maybe starting the Palace one soon, but with my teaching responsibilities, it's just time. It's just time. So at the moment, I'm just going around and just trolling in the comments.
Not a bad place to be.
He's got a massive channel there with 0 subs, hopefully 1 by the end of the show, you know. So if he can do it, I'm sure you can do it, Rich.
No doubt.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming
on, lads.
Have a good evening.
Good to see you, Rich. Good to see you, lads. See you later. Bye.
See ya.